Time again to visit Luc LeBlanc. He's got another new album out. It's called Fugue State. It's just been released. And so our first question is, what exactly is a fugue state?
Now I don't mean to bring you down.
Well, fugue state as a term is kind of a psychology term,
right,
for someone who maybe they're under a lot of stress or even trauma, and as a defense mechanism, the body might kind of disassociate and forget its identity, or your mind, right? And
right.
just disassociate, forget who you are. And I think with everything, we've been going through as a country in the U.S., and I think globally too,
everywhere, yeah.
The pandemic, social divides and issues, cultural, political divides. I think it's led us societally to kind of go through a little bit of a fugue state. I think, and I'll just speak, for my country, the U.S. I think a little bit we've lost our identity of who we are collectively, and I think specifically where I run into it is I've noticed, when I meet people or when other people meet each other, I think there's this moment of like kind of sizing the other person up, like what reality does this person subscribe to?
Yeah.
What are their beliefs? What news channel do they tune into?
Right.
And I think it's led us into a bit of a fugue state. And so my album it's not an album, trying to find a solution really, or prescribe some pill to fix it. But I think it's my way of stepping back and just processing what it is that we're going through, because I think we have to process for ourselves what this is all about, what we're feeling, before we can even, figure out those kinds of solutions.
Gotcha. And it's been a strange year or two for pretty much everyone. So I imagine
Absolutely.
Most folks will be able to, no matter where they're coming from, be able to relate on some way or form or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you recorded it in Cleveland, Minnesota?
I did. Yep.
I didn't even know there was a Cleveland, Minnesota. I knew Cleveland rocks, but
yeah, there is. It's not quite as well known as Cleveland, Ohio, and it's probably got 1% of the population size.
Right.
But out of the couple businesses that are in Cleveland, the laundromat, the bank, a couple liquor stores, restaurant, there's a recording studio owned by Eric Koskinen, who produced this album, and he produced my last album too.
Right.
And it's really nice to record down there because it's about an hour and a half drive from where I live, and so it gives me it's a nice divide between real life and the magical world you get to go in when you separate from it and make music.
Right. Cool. I see Eric plays quite a few instruments on the record: guitar, bass, banjo, keyboards, blah blah blah. And so, how did the two of you work together to make this thing overall? Who was doing what?
Sure. Well, I obviously wrote the songs and have the melodies, and sometimes I make some demos beforehand just with my own little audio equipment and bring it down there. And it just kind of starts with him opening up the computer and getting the audio stuff set up and just saying,
right,
what's this next song called,
Yep.
and play it and lay that track down. And then we start adding things. I think we both subscribe to the notion that every song you kind of listen to the song for what it calls for. That's kind of how we go about it. There was no like, hey, we've got to have this instrument on this song. We got to have this needs to be a rock song, or this needs to be a folk song. It's just, we kind of listen to what the songs called for. And some songs I recorded beforehand, just my own little demo version. And I think a couple of them sounded a lot exactly stylistically like the demo, like the song When I Walk With You on the album. I made a demo that sounded pretty much like that.
Right.
There are other songs like Walking Days that was really slow, finger picking kind of tune. But after we were done, it ended up being a shuffle with a full band
Right.
kind of thing, and something you can, dare I say, dance to just a little bit.
Other walking days, other walking days. We're all living in the walking days.
There's a little fiddle solo on that one as well, isn't it?
Yeah, we got Ryan Young from Trampled by Turtles on the fiddle, which was a delight to have him play. He's got I mean, everybody's got their own way of playing an instrument, but
Sure.
what he does with Trampled by Turtles, it's bluegrass instruments, but playing rock to even progressive rock in a way. So he's got a really unique way of playing. So pleasure to have him on.
And you got somebody doing some BVs on that one as well?
BVs, what's that?
Backing vocals.
Oh, backing vocals. Yeah, learn something new
It's
today.
a technical term. You'll catch on.
Yeah, I don't play music. John Cleve Richardson. He played on the last album too. He plays mainly some keys, electric piano, and a little clavinet, and sings backup. He's got the cool thing about the way he sings backup is he doesn't always sing with the exact phrasing that I'm singing. He'll sing along with me, but then there'll be an opening, and he sings in that opening, and
Gotcha.
he kind of sings backup like an electric guitar player might play a solo, kind of fill in those empty spaces, which
Gotcha.
I like when people are able to just do their own thing and play their own style on the album. Yeah.
Now, I see you released one track, at least Slide On Over. Why was that chosen to be the kind of lead-off thing?
I just want to be like the light shining off the moon and slide on over you. Slide on over you. Slide on over you.
It was stuck in my head the most.
Yep.
So I figured if it's stuck in my head, maybe it'll be stuck in other people's heads. And as I get the album ready and play the songs, the people around me that I'm fortunate to be around, sometimes I hear them. Oh, I like that song. That song's really stuck in my head a lot, and so usually that one ends up being one of the singles at least.
And what can you tell me about the song itself?
Yeah, it's a song that when I wrote it kind of wrote itself really quickly. And for me, if I'm writing a song and it comes quickly, those end up being the ones that I kind of like the most. And based on the whole Spotify algorithm, they like it the most, so.
Yep.
So there's that. And, it's just a fun one to play. It's got a little catchy hook kind of going on. And we threw some clavinet on that one. Just kind of at the last minute, we recorded, put keys on the recording one day. And at the very end, I said to John, who was playing keys, and Eric, who was recording and engineering, I was like, what if we had one of those, clavinet kind of sounds? Well, okay, let's do a take. Great. It's digital, so you can add whatever you want. So that added a nice little twist to it too.
Cool. Now you mentioned When I Walk With You, I hear a saxophone there. There's a guy named Casey playing, right?
Casey. Yeah, that one I demoed that one at home just using a little kind of piano MIDI controller thing where you can plug in instruments, and I played a very poorly played saxophone, just to get the style that I was looking for. And I was at an open mic, a blues jam in town, just watching the blues jam. a buddy of mine goes and dances at these blues jams. He does like Lindy Hop dancing and stuff. Anyways,
Right.
at the
Nothing
blues
like a
jam,
good Lindy Hop, huh?
yeah, I can't do it. I don't know how people do it. It's really, that amazes me how people can dance. It's tough.
Yeah, I'm with you.
up playing with the blues jam was this guy Casey Friends, and he was playing saxophone with all these blues guys. And I asked my friend, "Hey, who's that?" And so he introduced me to him. And this was like 2.5 years ago, and I put his number in my phone and kind of forgot about it. And then we were looking for a saxophone guy for this song, and Eric had somebody in mind, but they were unavailable. And I was like, I remembered this guy. And so he plays a lot around town. He's always playing. And he just, he only sent one, he did it remotely at his studio. And he just sent one track, and it was just perfect. There was no need to email back and ask, can you try something different? It was just one take. And it's perfectly understated, and really stands out. And the only thing I'm kicking myself about is I wish we had more saxophone throughout.
Right.
But next time, it's good to have room for improvement.
So when you do the live gigs, what kind of get up are you going to have happening when you're out there touring the record? Are you going to have saxophone? Are you going to have guitars and pedal steels and all that stuff? What do you do?
Well, I try to get as much as I can. We just played the full album live for the first time last week up in a little town called Duluth, Minnesota, north of Minneapolis. And yeah, we played it all live. It was just 4-piece, me, an electric guitar player, bass, who also sang backup vocals, and a drummer. And it worked really well as a four-piece. The electric guitar player was able to mimic some of those pedal steel sounds with a steel thing, or with a slide. Ideally, I'd love to have every single instrument for every song at every show, but there's a budget for every show, and people have different availability and are booked for different shows. So that was a long way of answering, but as much as I can get is what is the answer to that one.
So this is your 4th album, is that correct?
It is my 4th full-length album, and then I did a 5-song EP back in 2018.
So with that in mind, do you kind of look at a kind of career arc? Is there a path being laid? Are you looking at it in those terms, or are you just looking at a next batch of songs coming?
Sure. I mean, it's a little bit of both, Ideally, I want to make a career of this. I want to be able to say, hey, my job is I make music and tour full time. That's the ideal. And, for that, you got to have a good audience. And so I'm working on building the audience. And I think with last album and this album, I think I'm starting to see that more, with shows, getting more people coming out, and it seems like more people are telling their friends about it, or more people are hearing about it through this or that. So that part of it's going well, just growing an audience and building a community, with these songs that like the music and like to come to shows. And on the other side of that coin, I'm very fulfilled with this album because I think musically I grew a lot from last album, tried new things, different vocal ranges, different time signatures, different instrumentation. And I think that's one of the most fulfilling things that anybody can have in any kind of art or medium or whatever they're doing, is if they're growing. And I really felt like I grew. Relearning how to play these songs live for that show last week was it was a pain at first, because there was some stuff in there. I'm like, what did I do? But that's good. Right. I figured it out. The guys in the band figured it out, and I think we all became just slightly better musicians. And so hope to do that next time around too.
Okay. Now I want to touch on one more song, because it's kind of a title track, because Fugue State is mentioned in it. It's Take Your Mind Off. So tell me a little bit. Is there a story behind that one?
I don't know my own heart, babe. know where to start, babe. I don't know if I could fly, but I could try sometime soon.
I think it captures a lot of the theme of Fugue State. It obviously has the title of the album in there. I think we're living in a fugue state. Only way to love is through hate, and if you need a ride, you got to pick a side to follow around. And it seems like that's the case more than ever these days, or because of social media, it's pronounced even more. But it seems like everybody there's this pressure to pick a side. What's your algorithm? What's your feed going to be on Facebook or Instagram? Is it going to be this news source or that news source? What community are you part of? It just musically, it's for the great majority of the song, it's in a 7/4 time signature. I spent a lot of the pandemic just listening to a lot of artist catalogs that I hadn't really listened to before. I hadn't listened to the Beatles much in my life, I will admit.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. And I listened to a lot of that stuff over the pandemic, and they have a couple songs. One of them is in a 7/4 time signature. The one, All You Need Is Love. Love,
Okay.
love.
Yeah.
And I was reading the Wikipedia page about that song. I like to late at night stay up and read Wikipedia pages about whatever.
Yes.
That was one of the things, is the song was in the 7/4, and I didn't write the song based on that song or anything, but I think just having a different time signature stuck in my head, and I wanted to try it out, so I did. And it took a minute to get used to not having that extra little quarter measure,
Right.
but it made for a good song. And what's nice is at the show in Duluth I just had, and then I was on a radio station up there talking about the show. Several different people, whether they watched the concert or maybe heard the radio program, said, I don't know what it is, but we really like that song you played, Take Your Mind Off It. We played a couple of them, but they really like that one. And I think that's part of it, is the time signature. It's something different that you don't know exactly what it is, but
Right. Yeah. As a listener, you just know that it's different than what you just heard before. It sticks out. Yeah, that's cool. All righty. Well, I'll let you go. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you, Marty. You too.
All right.